this thing on? Yes. Thank you, everybody, for coming. My father wasn't a very religious person. He was more of a spiritual person, and he preferred something intimate. And I think this is what he would have wanted. And everybody that loved him and knew him well is here. And we really appreciate you for coming. My brother has a eulogy that's been written by a few people that know him and loved him, and family from overseas. So he will come out and read that for us. And if anybody else wants to say a word or two, you're welcome to. But thank you so much for coming.
Hello. Once again, thank you everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. Graham Richard Sharples, 22nd November 1948 to 20th December 2023. If I and everyone else had to say what we really wanted to say about Dad, we'd probably still be here sometime in the next year or 10. He was loved by so many. Graham Richard Sharples was born on the 22nd of November 1948 in Springs, Transvaal. His mother was Mary Elizabeth Rawson, and his father was John James Chadwick Sharples, whom everyone knew as Jack. He had an older brother, James Edward Sharples, but everyone knows him as Jim. And he had a younger sister, Leslie Ann Hughes. Both live in Australia now with their families. Grandpa Jack was a mine engineer and moved around a lot as he worked at different mines, which meant that Dad had an eventful youth, more of which will be said later. On the 12th of May 1973, he married Hendrika Agatha Bachijn, whom he had met at the Johannesburg College of Art. Not long after, I, Vincent John Sharples, was born on the 21st of October 1973. My brother, Jason Graham Sharples, came about 4 years later and was born on the 18th of January 1978. In 1980, we moved to East London when Dad started working for Nestle. Sadly, my 33-year-old mother passed away from cancer on the 22nd of December 1981, leaving my dad to raise two little boys on his own. In the summer of 1984, Dad met Elaine, who became mom to my brother and I. Dad married Elaine Elizabeth Goliath on the 22nd of April 1993. In the nearly 40 years that they have been together, they have been devoted to each other, despite many adversities. I have a few words here from his brother Jim and sister Leslie. Graham was the second child of the three of us, 18 months younger than Jim and 5 years older than Leslie. We remember many of Graham's cheeky exploits as a boy, though some don't bear repeating. Like many brothers who are close in age, Graham and Jim sometimes fought and argued with occasional brotherly fisticuffs. Oh my goodness. But as they grew up, both Graham and Jim were on the same track. When Jim started working after going to art school and was sharing a house in suburban Johannesburg, Graham came to live with him and his friends for 18 months so that he could attend art school as his brother did before. And funnily enough, Graham and Jim both became involved in computing as well later in life. So their common interests bound them together. Graham used to tease Leslie at times, roping his little sister into many cheeky exploits, sometimes with hilarious outcomes, with Jim sometimes arriving on the scene to call a halt to proceedings. An incident comes to mind when we were living on Robinson Deep Mine. Tok tok. just put this thing on silent over here. Okay, an incident comes to mind when we were living on Robertson Deep Mine. Tok Tok. A naughty game was played by using a piece of string tied onto a screen door of a house. After knocking on the door and quickly hiding, the tenant opened the door whilst about to push the screen door open. We yanked the string, unexpectedly surprising the tenant. The string didn't detach as usual, and of course the pesky sister was sent to ask for it back. Nonetheless, we did grow up, and this and many episodes formed the tapestry of Graham's young days. After Jim moved to New Zealand and then to Australia, it was 30 years before the three of us would be together again. Graham, Elaine, and Vincent made the long trek to get to a birthday reunion at Jim's house in Sydney. Our time together spent with Graham and getting to know Elaine and Vincent was a truly special time for Jim and Leslie. Once Elaine came into Graham's life, his happiness was evident. When visiting with Graham and Elaine, he said that he had found his soulmate, and we were so pleased to see our brother happy. We have many good memories of Graham to move forward with, and we hope that Elaine, Vincent, and Jason, you'll remember your good memories of Graham to help ease the pain of his loss that you feel now. Love, Jim and Leslie. I have a few words here from Auntie Val. Graham, you accepted us as family even though we were just in-laws. You were a father figure when my dad passed on. I can't thank you enough. You left a hole in my heart, and I will love you forever. Your sister-in-law, Valerie. And there are a few words from my cousin, Lisa. As I sit here trying to find the words to say goodbye, I am flooded with memories of the invaluable lessons you taught me throughout my life. Your passing has left a void that can never be filled, but your teachings will forever resonate in my heart. You taught me more than words can express, lessons of resilience. Your legacy will live on in the stories that we tell, the values you instilled in us. As we bid you farewell, know that you will be dearly missed, but your spirit will continue to guide and inspire us. Rest in peace, Uncle Graham, and thank you for being the incredible person that you were. Orchid van Rensburg was one of those one in a million people, and his friendship with Dad and the whole family is something that we will forever cherish. One of my dad's wishes was that Oki be here today. Unfortunately, it is not possible, so here are some words from Oki. I still find it very difficult that Graham is not with us anymore. He was one of the most interesting men I ever knew. Graham had a very broad knowledge of just about anything. One thing I will surely miss the most is the funny riddles that he loved so much. If I may quote, one of Graham's favorite riddles was, "Why do ducks have flat feet? It's to stomp out forest fires. And why do elephants have flat feet? It's to stop out the burning ducks." Graham will be surely remembered for his kind heart. There is surely not a person that knew him that has not been touched by his kindness. And to Elaine, that always stood by him through thick and thin, no matter what, will always be admired by me what the true meaning of a wonderful wife is. Elaine, Vincent, and Jason, I don't know how to comfort you in this sad time, but Graham's memory, with all his sayings and concoctions and quirky jokes, will always be a reminder of the true and wonderful person that he was. He will be sorely missed, and it was an absolute honor to have him as a friend for so many years. Rest in peace, my friend. I will always cherish the good I'll always cherish the good memories I have of being your friend. There are a few words from my mom here. I know you wanted to say much more than these few words, but to get those words out, to my husband, I'll never forget you. We were together for almost 40 years. Through thick and thin, we stuck together. Thank you for giving me an amazing life. The last words you said to me were, I love you. You will always be in my heart. Rest easy now. Love you forever. We'll see you later. My dad was and still is my hero, my role model, my inspiration. He taught me so much that it is difficult to express what that means to me. Although he has gone from this earth, he will be forever in my thoughts and my heart. I love you so much, Dad, and I'm going to miss you terribly. Rest easy now, Dad. I'm going to end off with a poem posted by my second cousin, Lauren Bates. Dad's empty chair at Christmas. What I'd give if I could say, hello, Dad, in the same old way. To hear his voice and see his smile. To see him, to sit with him and chat for a while. So if your father is still here, cherish him with care. For you'll never know the heartache until you see his empty chair. Thank you. If anybody else wants to say anything, please, you're welcome to say something.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. For those who know me, I'm not one to speak, ever. I'm very quiet. It's a good thing I'm not a teacher. I think for all of us that knew now, I called him Uncle G, because that to me that was his embodiment. I'm pretty sure that he would never want this kind of ceremony to be a sad occasion, because Uncle G was one of those guys who can turn a dad joke into the finest comedy. He'll tell you the same joke 14 times, and every single time he tells it, somehow he just makes it funny again. So that is just the Uncle G that I knew. So today is really a celebration, right? It's a celebration. He's lived a full life. Vincent mentioned it, that Uncle G was well versed in many things. Even things he wasn't well versed in, he was better versed than you, 100%. And he will find a way, he'll find a way to make every moment that you spend with him a good one, right? And I'm surprised that a lot more of us aren't overweight, because as soon as you get there, you must eat. You must eat, there's enough, eat. So I think all of us can agree on Uncle G's loving nature. He was a very loving person. Whether it was people, whether it was animals, he loved everybody. But for me personally, and I think most of the kids that grew up in front of him can agree, his loving nature shone most brightly when it came to kids. So Uncle G them's house, Uncle G and Auntie Lane's house, is the house where all the kids wanted to be. School holidays are not even there yet. And then we're hounding our parents. Yep, come, we must go to East London, we must go there. And just, if we go all the way back to when I was very small, right? Don't let the gray hair fool you, I'm still very small. But unbeknownst to us as kids, Uncle G would wake up. We only figured this out later, but he woke up incredibly early. So when we'd wake up, he's already awake. And we didn't know that he knew that we were awake. So he'd snore as loudly as he possibly can, but make it sound like he's a wolf. So he'd be like, oh. And us, we'd all be standing by the door and listen. And when he does it, we back out laughing and run out and all that. So he'd always try and make your visit as enjoyable as possible. My favorite, not in the moment, but my favorite moment now is what he'd do. So we'd always go and they'd rent movies for us. We'd be watching the movies and you fall asleep on the couch. And he will wake you up to ask you, are you sleeping? In the moment, not so funny. Right now, very funny. But then he's also taught me quite a few life lessons. And one of the biggest life lessons that he's taught me up until today, and I still drive with it, I quote it many times, is because he was the first one to take me for a driving lesson. Needless to say, it went horribly, and he never took me again. But that's beside the point. We can talk about that later. He told me, everybody else on the road, they are all idiots. Nobody can drive. You are the only one that can drive, and you need to drive for everybody else. Right? That is what he taught me. And up until today, when I see somebody do something stupid, I'd be like, idiot. Right. The other life lesson that Uncle G taught me personally is that my definition of perfection and his definition of perfection, two completely different definitions of perfection. A quick story. He had a boat. I think the boat was called Gilly, if I remember correctly, Gilly. And Uncle G would work diligently on this boat. I've only been out on that boat once. It was a very short trip, right? That's a different story. But we were sanding the boat. And he's like, it has to be smooth. So I'm sanding and I'm sanding and I'm sanding and I'm sanding and I feel and it's smooth. Then Uncle G was like, well done. Go get yourself a cool drink. So I'm like, yes. So I go up and when I look back, the exact same spot that I was sanding, he was sanding. So he taught me that my perfection and his perfection are completely different perfections. However, this was a giant of a man, both literally and figuratively. Right? It was a giant of a man. And another life lesson, which he didn't teach me verbally but he taught me with actions. It is how to unreservedly love your wife. Because over the years, that is day, Auntie Lane was his queen. He ensured that she is always taken care of and that she knows that she is the center of his life. So he taught me how to love the person that you are with. So even though today is a goodbye, we need to remember Uncle G. And I think this is what I'm taking from this. I need to remember him, not with tears, but with laughter. Because it was that laughter that echoed through all our family gatherings, thanks to his one-of-a-kind sense of humor. His whole aim when everybody was there was to enjoy themselves and to laugh. So Uncle G, cheers to a life well lived and a legacy of joy that will echo in our hearts forever. Until we see you again, rest easy.
Afternoon, everyone. Uncle Graham was like a father figure to me. He was my uncle. He was even my teacher. I'm happy for every lesson that he taught me. Every time I go to Auntie Lane's house, they go visit. First thing, I'm gonna get a lesson of outer space or some place on the earth, of how the earth is. And now every knowledge that I have about how he taught me. I just wanted to thank him for everything. And I wanted to say farewell to him, Uncle Graham. And he rest in peace.
Thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for all the kind words, and it's much appreciated. We are going to have a little bit of a gathering at Marquez later on. If anybody needs directions, I can help you. There's tea and coffee and drinks, and everybody's welcome, and snacks, and everybody's welcome to come and join us. We're just going to have a little bit of fun and enjoy ourselves in the memory of Graham Richard Sharples, our wonderful father. Thank you, everybody, for coming. We much appreciate it.
Okay, this is goodbye to my father. Can I go now?
Everyone, please stand.
Thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated.